I'd like to go ahead and welcome everyone to our second part of 3 segments on channel product segment alignments and SME banking. So this session is specifically on SME targeted products and offers driven by segmentation and channel realities. I'd like to quickly introduce Sandy for those who did not join us in the first session. Sandy is joining us for the second session. Many of you met Sandy at our roundtable in Dubai this past May. And Sandy has a long history in banking and executive management over 30 years, and he's worked in over 50 countries at many different blue chip companies. And one exciting thing that he's done is worked with Raiffeisen Bank, where he helped to build 11 SME banks in 11 different countries over 5 years throughout Central and Eastern Europe. So we're so pleased to have such a strong facilitator as Sandy to join us with all of his deep experience in this area. And now I'd like to turn it over to Sandy to take you through the webinar.
Great, Jessica, thank you very much for the very kind introduction. Welcome to everybody. Good morning, good evening, again in whichever time zone you may happen to be. And before we get into what we are going to discuss today, I just wanted to go back quickly for those of you who joined us for the last time, and for those of you who missed it, the kind of things that we covered off, because these 3 webinars actually create a whole. We started with channels, we today are moving on to products, and then next time we're going to be talking about segmentation, and that drives the whole strategic approach. So last time we talked about channel designs, a basic overview, the kind of things we need to consider to make sure that we do everything right, rules of thumb to make sure that we make profit, how segmentation will drive our channel development. We talked a fair bit about the upcoming new channels that many people say, oh, come on, in emerging markets they are really not there yet, but as I hopefully have shown everyone, they are there and they are very important, and we cannot ignore them. And these are, the social media, the content marketing, the internet marketing, and so on. We talked about local market realities and how they change channel designs, using alliances to boost efficiencies, and how regulatory issues will drive in many cases what we do. Now some of these themes will come back today, the local market peculiarities, the regulatory issues, segmentation driven approach, and so on. So let's get into what we are going to go through today. First we'll again start with some definition. What is a product? What is an offer? Then how do we define the so-called best offer? What innovation we can bring to developing SME offers, and especially kind of when we don't have what it takes, because many times we got a company and we don't have unlimited resources. And if you do, please be very, very happy. But I never lived in an environment, and never worked for a company where I was told, Sandy, you got unlimited resources, do whatever you want to do. And we always have to kind of scramble. And a way out is building alliances to get kind of something for nothing, develop a win-win solution. We'll talk about how segmentation and the kind of life stage of different SME companies will drive the best offer. We'll talk about product development. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of kind of gory details of well-disciplined product development. If anybody would like to have more details on any of that, on the pages and pages and pages of stuff, and please feel free to let SBBN know, and we'll help you with that, and we'll give you the background information. But instead, we'll kind of mention this is how it's done normally, and then we'll talk about some unusual, innovative approaches. And then finally, we'll talk about, okay, so how we really need to target our offers. But before we get into all of that, I thought just to get everybody going, we'll get into a little quiz. So let's start with a quiz. Different people define product differently. And I listed up 5 possible quote-unquote products here, and I would like you to think about them and don't over-intellectualize, but give us your gut reaction. What do you think would qualify as a product of the following 5? And you can check as many as you wish. So number 1 would be a credit card. Number 2 would be a bank card, which is linked to a current account. Number 3 would be a startup loan for a small business. Number 4 would be the ability to use a dedicated bank officer. And number 5 would be automatic credit approval if somebody comes a product to us. So can you please take maybe 15-20 seconds, just think about this and click what you think you would define as a product.
So we're going to close it in just about 15 or 20 seconds here, so please get in your final responses. And they are moving.
Right now, about 2/3 of are saying that a credit card is a product. About half of the people are saying a bank card is a product. More than 80% are saying, of course, a startup loan is a product. Less than 20% are saying the dedicated bank officer is a product, and about 1/3 are saying that automatic credit approval could be a product. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's carry on.
We've just closed the poll, so these are the final numbers here, and so we're able to see.
Okay, good. So that's very good, and I'm very excited to see these results, because depending on how we look at the definition of a product or an offer, we define different things as product and so on. So let me just kind of get down to the next page. Okay, so there is a traditional view, and the traditional view would say that credit card, bank card, and a loan would all be a product, and I can see that a lot of people have taken the traditional view, 2/3, 1/2, and more than 80%. And that's great. Then there is the so-called disciplined view, and disciplined view actually means that the product is something that exists on its own. So for example, a credit card is a product because it is a standalone thing, but a bank card would not be a product because you need another product to link it to. So a bank card is really an access mechanism. So credit card is product, bank card is not a product, startup loan is a product, a dedicated bank officer is not a product. So this is interesting. Obviously, the numbers came back, 2/3 and over 80% kind of said, yeah, disciplined approach. So credit card and loan are products. And then here's the interesting twist, the customer-centric approach. So when people ask me, what is a product? Or people ask me, what do you think good customer service is? I always say, it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what the customer thinks. So a customer-centric view of product definition is, you know what? A product is whatever customers define as a product. So it can be anything. It can be a loan officer dedicated, it can be automatic loan approval, it can be just about anything. So we look at our target segment and we say, let's ask these guys, what do they think is a product? And they will tell us. So thank you very much. The numbers, I must admit, came back kind of the way I would have expected it. There's a lot of discipline, but there is a lot of customer-centric approach there, and it's all feeding back very nicely. Now, couple of things. Number one, when we think about products, whichever way we define it, let's make sure that it is always profitable. My golden rule is that every product, every customer, and every channel must be profitable on its own on a going basis. So introductory offers are okay, but on a going basis, everything must be profitable. If I do that, I make sure that I have a profitable business. And within those constraints, then I can really define the best offer for my customers. Now, the next thing is that what is the best offer for my customer will actually depend on market realities. And I would just like to show you Hungary versus Poland. In Hungary, if you go into a Tesco store, they make a big deal out of the fact that, wow, within 3 working days, we can approve a consumer finance loan to you. In Poland, they don't make a big deal of it, but they say within 15 minutes, you get it. Because the market demands that in Poland, 15 minutes is what you get. Everybody gives a 15-minute approval, okay? And in Hungary, you can get away with 3 days. On the other hand, when you look at the rebates that one gets, in Poland, you get 2% rebate on many of these loans. In Hungary, you have to go all the way up to 10% because, again, that is what the market demands. So once we looked at what is the product definition and what people expect, then we really need to think about what is the market reality and checking as the competition and what consumers and customers would expect from us. So hopefully we made the point, or we understand that product like service or anything else can be anything to customers. Okay, now products though, many times people ask me, just give me the right product for the customers, for my SME clients, and I always said, you know, there is no magic solution. There is no magic idea what is the best product. The magic solution lies in developing the right product. So it's not like just do this and then you will be happy. It's more like this is the process you can follow and then you can come up with the right product idea. Give you an idea about the Credit Bank of Moscow, where up until recently I've been chairman of the board. And one of the things we noticed is that many of our small business clients in the retail business had big problems with handling cash on hand. They had to get rid of cash on hand at the end of the day, and then they had to restock their cashiers at the beginning of the day. Crime is a big problem in Russia. Insurance companies insuring cash demand a huge big premium. So we came up with the idea of creating a cash collection and cash redistribution system to these customers. We offered it to them for less than the insurance premium that they saved by having our services and not having cash on hand. So all our SME clients were very, very, very happy. And you know what? We were very, very happy, not only because we actually made money on this, but because you know what we did? We took this cash collection system, cash flow analysis, and linked it back into our credit monitoring. And we said, if any customer misses regular cash collection twice in a row, that means that that customer is having problem with the cash flow. And we know that small, medium enterprises get put under by cash flow. And we know that most small, medium enterprises have more than one bank from whom they got a loan. So as soon as we noticed this, we sent out people to review the situation, and if it could be fixed, we fixed it. If it could not be fixed, then we walked away from it and we called the loan and let the other banks take the bad loans. So our non-performing loan ratio dropped dramatically. We created an extra cash flow, fee-based income for the company, and we gave our customers, SME customers, something very, very, very unique. So that is what I mean, kind of thinking about what is a product. out of this insurance issue and crime issue, we created a product that then helped everybody else. Now, if you remember in the beginning, I said that if you work for a company where your management tells you, just create an SME product and you got unlimited resources, then you must be really happy. I never had that. So what do we do if we don't have what it takes? Well, we can go around and look for examples how other companies handle it. And one of the interesting examples I found was in Trinidad and Tobago. Republic Bank created a specific SME service offer. This is what they came up with. SME clients wanted good business advice, something that trained MBA graduates could give. But SME clients don't have the money to pay for this. The bank wanted a differentiating, unique feature, something that they could give to their customers, saying that this is what we give you, this is why you should deal with us. And at the same time, ideally, again, by helping these startup companies do the right things in business, they would drop the default rate, hence they would drop the non-performing loan rate for all these companies. MBA schools would like to have a differentiating feature and would like to tell everybody that, you know, we give our students the opportunity to go out there and do internships and get real-life experience. And MBA students would gladly go and work for nothing just to be able to say on their CV that they actually have real-life experience. So Republic Bank got together with the biggest MBA school in the Caribbean, and they created an offer where they said, we are going to place MBA students in your company. That is gratis. That is a special thing that you get as our preferred customer. They will help you with your business. The students will get the free experience, but they don't get paid, but they are still happy. The MBA school gets to claim that they are placing their students. I, as the bank, get to claim that I'm providing something very specific and extra to my SME clients. And by the way, at the same time, I'm improving the quality of my loan portfolio. And you, as my dear customer, are getting something free of charge that otherwise you couldn't buy for thousands of dollars. That is the power of creating win-win-win solutions. And there are lots of other examples. There are things that one can do with internet portals. There is a bank, K&H, which is an Eastern European subsidiary of KBC of Belgium, that got together with internet search portals. And they provide free information to these portals that they would have to pay for to Bloomberg to get, but the bank gives it free. But in return, anybody who clicks into this information will get a hot link to the bank's website, and on the bank's website called Innovation Corner or Entrepreneurial Corner, they get a whole lot of free information to help them with their business. And of course, what happens? They look at this bank and they go, wow, these guys really care for me. They care about my business, so maybe I should talk to them because I get something extra from them. So there are ways and ways and ways of doing product development and providing extra offers that may not necessarily cost me extra, but do provide something value added to my customers. And that is the point. Now, if I want to go through a focused product development process, obviously I look at what my segments need, and the emphasis on need, because everybody knows what they want, but that's not necessarily what they need. So a good salesperson would always dig beyond the wants and would get to the needs. And customers are very happy when I address the needs instead of the wants. I would then make sure that I got the right strategy. Do I want to acquire? Do I want to retain? Do I want to build a relationship? I would make sure that I have the right process to develop the right offers. And then I would also look at the segments and look at their life stages. And I would look at my delivery capabilities, how I can make sure that I address those needs, and as the company grows, my offer will grow with them. So for acquisition, obviously, most SME companies want a loan. But I need to think about what the loan is for. And think back of Russia, yes, they want a loan, but they also want cash handling. I think of Africa, most startup companies actually want electrical supplies. They want a steady supply of electricity. So most companies want a specific loan to buy a power generator. So I can create a loan for that. Okay, I can look at the different companies and segment them from here to eternity, making sure that I really finely tune and target what I'm giving them. Then I keep in mind that, you know what, with SMEs especially, the personal needs and the business needs are not that separated out. Micro companies, small companies, are very much tied to their owners. Now here's a very special SME math. The SME math says 1 + 1 does not equal 2. It equals 3.2. Because if I get both the personal business and the business of an SME owner, I get a 60% boost in my profitability through cross-selling and addressing other needs. So if I'm going for an SME segment, I always want to make sure that I serve both the personal needs of the owner and the business needs of the company. Then I also look at, okay, what are the obvious needs and what are those needs that are overlooked and what are the needs that provide an upside? Assets or loans are the obvious ones, and everybody thinks about that. But you know, the most overlooked area is the liabilities, the deposits, the cash handling, the parking of the excess money. And most banks, unfortunately, don't do a very good job at addressing those needs. So if I address those, I get a leg up on the competition. Then I can look at special needs like factoring, leasing, key person insurance, and as I said, cash collection and so on, which will give me additional upside potential to move forward. Okay, so now we've gone through all these needs and we've gone through the life stages and some product ideas, but you know what? We go back to reality and we are IT restricted, and I cannot do everything. So here's the thing, here's another quiz. So please take a look at 3 potential areas where I can spend my IT resources. Number 1 is kind of stay in business activities, making sure that the ATMs function and so on. Number 2 is business building activities with a big payback potential, 30% profit growth. Number 3, mandatory requirements. The government tells me that I got to do something. So how do you vote? Which one should you do first? So give me your ideas. And this time I would ask you to vote only for one, please. 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Shouldn't be that difficult.
Great. So the poll is open. So if our participants could vote for one of the answers, which one would be your top priority for your IT?
85% already voted, yeah.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and close the poll now.
Okay. So I see that most people said, hey, listen, let's build a business. And then essential stay in business activity, and then mandatory requirements. Oh well, this is when ugly reality comes in. And as much I really love the idea of building the business, you know what? Meeting legal requirements and ensuring that the business keeps functioning are essential. Hence, actually, number 3, mandatory. That's the thing we need to do first. Because you know what? and I honestly, I love you guys for voting for the business building activity the most. But you know, if the government tells me something that you must do this, I can't argue. I have to do it. If they say that tomorrow you need to change your interest rate calculation to this algorithm, I must implement it. So as much as I would love to build a business, I gotta put my resources against mandatory. Then the next one is, as much as I would love to build a business and create new products, I gotta make sure that I stay in business, and that is the base essential. My ATMs must be up, my call center must be up, the business must be running, my reporting must be there. So I have to do the base essential. And it is only that, after that, when I can get into business building activities. And when I get into business building activities, I wanted to give you a couple of tips on how to decide where I put my effort. So once I handle the government requirements, once I handle the stay in business requirements, now I got to decide how am I going to go to build a business. And I'm not going to quiz you on this, but just please take this suggestion, take this slide away, write it down. Whenever anybody suggests anything, ask 3 questions. No more, no less. This has been tested over 150 years, honestly. Number 1 question, is it on strategy? What I am about to do, is that in line with my long-term plans? Number 2, what is the payback? So what I'm planning to do, does it pay back? Does it actually them my knowledge? Well, I'm not sure how much they learned from me, but I learned an awful lot from them because we started talking about, okay, how are we going to build an agribusiness loan? And they said to me, you know, the big deal is that there isn't enough milk in our countries, so we need to do something that will help people have more milk. And the way to do that is to give people money to buy cows. And not to set up a big farm, but to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 cows. Beyond that, we are getting into the farming domain that's different. So if we want to stay micro, then we create a product that will allow people to buy up to 5 cows. So let us build a product like that. And they proceeded to define this product by cows. So let me show you. They said the amount of the loan should be up to 5 cows as they are priced in each market. So we get away from this idea of transferring things from one market to another, because the price of the cow will change, and in each market it will be the price of the cow that will set the absolute amount of the loan. So up to 5 cows is the amount of the loan. Great. Now the term of the loan is 1 year per each cow, up to 5 cows. Because obviously if you just get 1 cow, you can pay back the loan faster. If you get 5 cows, it takes longer. It's a bigger loan, so we need to give you more time. Okay, so define the term of the loan in cows. And this was, I gotta tell you, this was what killed me. They said the grace period, you know, the period during which people can say that, no, actually I don't want this loan, I want to bail out, thank you very much, but I don't need your money. This is the grace period up front. They said it should be 2 months. And why 2 months? Because that is how long it takes for cows to socialize. The socializing period for a cow is the time a cow takes to feel comfortable with the other cows and start producing milk. And until the cow produces milk, there is no cash flow to the small enterprise. So we need to give them a grace period until the cows get socialized. And then obviously the interest rate we also defined in cows, and we actually find in milk produced by the cows. So what I took away is that there is a great deal of innovation that one can apply to product development. And I would really encourage everybody to try to think, quote unquote, in terms of cows. So that when we design a loan, let's not think like bankers, let's think like the customers. What do they want to use the loan for? How do they pay for it? What would be the loan parameters? How they define it by their own needs and their activities, like these guys define everything by cows. And finally, I wanted to share with you a new interesting development, which is called the experience-based economy. And I would just like all of us to think about experience-based economies. Here is what this is all about. Back maybe 1,000 years ago, whoever had the cows or the mines had the money. And that was the resource-based economy. Then manufacturing came in, and we turned cows into steaks and sausages. So whoever owned the resources of manufacturing owned the money, and the resource itself, the price of the cow went down, and the margins were squeezed, commoditization set in, everybody started to struggle. But the producers, the manufacturers, were on top of the world. This was the Industrial Revolution. Then came the Service Revolution. People started going out to restaurants, and they are paying now money for the fact that they can have any kind of meal, they can have drinks with their meals, they don't have to clean up after their meals, after their meal, they can sit around with friends, a lot of additional stuff that comes in built around having a dinner. And then came the experience-based economy. My friends from London tell me that they hate Rainforest Cafe. Rainforest Cafe is a cafe, a restaurant chain where they have piped-in music and fake palm trees and waiters and waitresses walking up to you with an eye patch and a parrot on their shoulder and hello, I'm your pirate for the day. The food is really bad, it's really overpriced, everybody hates it, but all my friends with kids have to go there because the kids are shrieking with delight. They love the experience of being served by a pirate. So they are getting the experience. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, if we are today in the services industry, what will it take us to get into the experience industry? What are the kind of things that we can offer as a service, as a product to our SME customers that will differentiate ourselves, will create this customer delight, will create a need for customers to come to us, whether we have alliance deals or whatever, so that we take advantage of this and we will commoditize the other guys, the other people. Now, I have got a few more slides, but I'm not going to kill you with this one. Normally I ask sell me a Harley Davidson and how you would do that and how you would cross-sell it. But my point is, please take a look at the slide, and if you got questions, because there are some obvious rules to cross-selling the next best product, then again, please send an email to SBBN, and if you'd like to hear more, I'd be delighted to give you all the information. What I wanted to do is just go back and very quickly summarize what I hope we have gone through today. So the first thing that hopefully we all learned is that product is not what I define as a product, but product is something that my customers define as the product. Now, giving them the opportunity to define what a product is, I need to make sure that internally I make money. So I want to make sure that every product, every channel, every segment is profitable on its own. So whenever I define my offers, I will define them with these things in mind, the external rule and the internal rule. Then I need to be careful about what my local environment is. Think about the different offers in Hungary and Poland. Different things make different impacts. So I need to know what the local market depends. I also need to understand the actual needs of my customers. Not what they tell me what they want, but what they actually need. And if I cannot deliver an answer to their needs, then I will team up with other people, other providers, like the bank in Trinidad and Tobago, to give them something that will be unique to my bank. They will be happy, I will be happy, and the alliance partner will be happy. There is no magic solution for a product. If anybody tells you, just give me a product, tell them, no, I cannot do that, but I will give you a process by which to develop that magic solution. It's like, don't give them a fish, teach them how to fish, and they will be happy for life. That is the same thing for product development and product ideas. Okay? Let's not be afraid of walking outside of the accepted product development processes. There are true and tested processes, but there is a lot of room left for innovation. So designing a product by cows is completely acceptable. Okay? Well, and if you have followed all of this and you are still awake and your eyes are not clouding over, I must congratulate you and invite you back to the next webinar when we are going to be talking about segmentation, because everything then goes back to segmentation, how we focus, how we make trade-offs, how we build the whole segmentation approach, and how that will all tie together with channel and product ideas that we talked about. On that cheerful note, thank you very much for being with us, and I will hand it back to Jessica and to all of you with any questions that you may have, as we do have up to 20 minutes to talk.
Great. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for an excellent webinar. We really appreciate it, and we're very excited about the third part as well. We are starting to see some questions come in. We have a question about the duration of product development. So how long does it take to issue a new product? And maybe you could walk us through the timeline of product development and actually executing a new product as well.
Okay, well, the answer to that, as to many similar questions, is it depends. If I have a relatively simple change and I have the technical capability to implement that change, it can be very, very short. The warning I would give to everyone is that we should take into account not just the actual product development phase, but also allow for time to bring internal alliances into the boat. So for example, if I want to introduce something to the market, I always say, I'm not introducing a new product to the market. First, I'm introducing it to my salespeople. So first, I'm selling it to my sales guys, then my sales guys will sell it to the customer. So I need to make sure that my sales guys are in the boat. The best way to make sure that that happens is that I invite them to participate in the development process. And many times, product development people get very anxious and they want to get on with it and want to kind of shortchange people and shortcut the process so that, no, I will not spend the time to get everybody in the boat. And my advice is, please do make sure that everybody is in the boat. The shortest time frame I have seen for product updates, keeping in mind that I need to bring the salespeople in the boat and everybody else, is around 6 weeks. The longest time will depend on how much I need to do IT upgrades, and it can be up to about a year or so. If it goes beyond 1 year, I would advise you to relook what you are trying to do, because the effort required may not be worth it. So short end about 6 weeks, long end about 1 year. Make sure that we bring everybody together. We don't forget about the time we need to spend internally to sell the idea within the organization. If it's less than 6 weeks, worry about not having everybody in the boat. If it's more than 1 year, then worry about spending too much time and effort, and really ask yourself the question, is this really what I want to do? And I hope it gives you some kind of rules of thumb.
Great, thank you so much. We've got a couple other questions coming in. I'll stick to the product design. On your product design with the cows, can this be used for all types of products or offers like housing finance as well?
Yeah, well, you see, again, let's go back to the key point I was hoping to make. The key point I was trying to make in all this product development and new products is that there is no magic solution in terms of a new product. It is a mindset and it is a product development process that we need to be familiar with. And the product design by cows is actually, when you think about it, the mindset is that these people that I worked with, and keep in mind, these were all CEOs of their companies, like really, really high up. They intimately understood the local reality and they knew how their customers thought. So if I'm doing a housing loan development, I need to take the same kind of mindset. And I'm not going to design a product by cows or by houses or whatever, but I need to put myself into the shoes of the customer, how they would think about it, and how from their perspective the product might make sense. And then I follow a development process that would address that need. That is what the designing product by cows means. Really understanding how customers actually think about the product. We tend to think about our banking offers as bankers. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, yes, we are bankers, but the offers are for the customer. So really, the most successful offers will be the ones that will resonate with the customer. And to get that synergy, that resonation, we need to kind of put ourselves into their shoes. be it cows, be it housing, be it power generation, be it crime prevention, be it whatever. So we need to kind of think, what are the issues that these guys are facing? And if they were designing this product, how would they do it? And then we try to replicate that process internally as professionals. That is the point about product design by cows, and that can be applied to housing loans and to just about anything.
Great. Thanks, Sandy. We have a couple questions on some very specific loan products. And with a loan product, an enterprise lending product, very small, micro, between $500 and $1,500, the question is whether or not a financial institution should incorporate the credit scoring model in the underwriting, as the product will be based on cash flow analysis. So we have lots and lots of questions on credit scoring.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, when I look at SMEs, I always say, please handle SMEs like you would handle individual clients. So that means statistical credit scoring modeling, if you can do that, and not individual credit scoring. That is for a number of reasons, and that in many cases is difficult for companies to accept, because a lot of companies have a corporate business and they want to build SME out of that. That is not the right way to go, in my opinion. SMEs do not have the information that we need for individual scoring. SMEs do not have the time to wait for an individual review. We do not have the money to give them corporate level scoring review, because to provide corporate level services to an SME would cost me 6 times more than to provide it with a statistical retail approach. And finally, when companies like IFC looked at the credit dynamics of SMEs, they found over and over again that the credit dynamics of SMEs is much more closely aligned with the credit dynamics of individual portfolios, that is consumer portfolios, than with corporate portfolios. So for all those reasons, number one, let's do statistical credit scoring if we can. Now, number two, many times even that statistical credit scoring is not available. Now, luckily, there are a lot of things that I can do, and I would like to just give you 3 ideas. Okay? Citibank, when Citibank moves into a new market, normally what they would do is they would set aside a bucket of money and they would lend it out. And then they would track it. And then they would learn from this. And they are fully prepared to take losses on this bucket of money. But what happens is, within 2 years, they will actually build their own SME credit scoring model based on the statistical behavioral analysis of this portfolio. They paid the tuition fee. Anybody else who comes into the market later on will need to pay the tuition fee, or will need to pay, or will take higher losses. While Citibank is laughing because they have already developed their own model, and based on that they can lend. So one way to do it is to set aside a bunch of money and say, okay, good, I'm going to lend it out, not foolishly, but relatively freely, and I'm going to use this portfolio as a test portfolio and build my own model. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I can do what is called proxying or substitute analysis. Give you an example from Raiffeisen Bank. When we moved into a new market, and this was Poland, we said we wanted to target accountants, lawyers, veterinarians, and dentists as micro enterprises. because we knew that these guys made good money, etc. Then we looked at their tax files, and it turned out that officially none of these guys made any money. We, of course, then realized that the reason why they officially didn't make any money is because they wanted to minimize their taxes. So it's not that they didn't make money, but it's that they cooked their books so that they wouldn't make any money on paper. So we said, okay, what does it mean for somebody in this business to be successful? So we applied some common sense, and we said, if you're in one of these professions, you've been in business for 3 years without declaring bankruptcy, and your place of operation has been the same for 3 years, then we know that you have staying power. We know that you make money even if you don't declare it. So we will lend you money. And we use this substitute or proxy information for credit scoring. So that's the second approach. The third approach is to go for something innovative. And again, I'm not being paid by these guys, but there's a company, I believe they're abbreviated EFL, and I believe that SBBN has the contact details. This is a company started up by some bright young guys out of, I don't know, MIT or Harvard or something, and they had a very different idea about credit scoring for SMEs. They said, test the jockey, don't test the horse. The horse is the business, the jockey is the owner who is driving the horse or the business. So what they found is that more than 80% of the time, the success of a company depends on the owner's knowledge and personality. So they built a credit scoring model that can be applied in different developing markets and had been tested and retested in many different markets. That is actually, it's kind of like a simplistic questionnaire that the owner answers, and these guys give you a credit score based on the answers to the questionnaire. So if anybody is stuck with, credit scoring and not being able to, sort out SMEs, I'm saying, please, do not be discouraged. There are at least 3 different ways that you can handle it. Pick one of them or dream up your own, but even if you just pick one of these 3, then you're ahead of your competition. So I hope I gave you some ideas.
That's great. Wonderful. We have another question on SMEs and their willingness to pay back. So one of our participants states that there's a very strong notion that SMEs lack the willingness to pay back loans, and what could be some possible causes of this, and what can financial institutions do to mitigate against this?
Okay, well, there are a few things there again. First of all, it's different if you talk about SMEs or if you talk about micros. Let me handle the latter one first. In case of micros, the way to make sure that there is repayment, and this has been tested and proven, is to get into kind of community peer pressure, and this is what the different microfinance development banks are doing, that they lend money and they have people bunched together who are kind of responsible for each other, and because none of them wants to lose the ability to borrow, they will put pressure on the non-payee or non-payer to actually pay back. And there is a corollary to that, which is interesting, and I hope I'm not sounding sexist, but women are better and more responsible at paying back than men. So most of the microfinance companies will target micro entrepreneurs who are women, and they will target them in groups of, on average, 7, and with that they increase their repayment rate tremendously. So that's a micro. Now, on the SMEs, the question is a bit more complicated, because really, to me, the question is, why is that reluctance to pay back the loans? And again, my experience is that many times it is driven by the regulatory environment. So if I am a bank and I notice there is a reluctance by my SME customers to pay back, I would obviously immediately look at the regulatory environment and check what are the things that encourage or may encourage these people not to pay back. So for example, in Russia, it's almost impossible to seize someone's real estate in return of non-payment. So obviously, if I have real estate pledged as a collateral, that is meaningless. So I will not lend with a real estate pledge. In Hungary, it is almost impossible to force anybody to pay back a foreign currency loan because the government has put a moratorium on it. And obviously, what happened is, as soon as the government put the moratorium on it, NPL, non-performing loan ratios, went up 2 to 3-fold. And that was because the government de facto told these guys that you can freely refuse to pay back your loan to the bank and there's nothing they can do. So I would always look at what are the regulatory drivers that may influence repayment. Then the next thing I would do is, if I'm fairly sophisticated, is look at my customer base and I would say, okay, so who are the guys who are not paying back? What are their characteristics? And can I do any kind of predictive modeling on this? So these kind of companies are the ones that do not pay back. So I don't know, maybe small traders who work across borders and work in these kind of geographies do not pay back. But then obviously I will essentially blacklist those customers, and I would rather get out of that business than run the risk of not getting paid back. So those are some of the ideas that I would encourage you to consider to get away from this non-repayment issue.
Great. Well, we have one final question, and I'd like to encourage our participants, if you have any other questions, please feel free to post on our discussion boards on the SBBN network, and you can also email them to me or Sandy directly. And so Sandy, our final question is on the 3 golden rules of profitability, and so maybe you can just walk us through those a little bit more. And that was back on slide 8 if you want to go back.
Yeah, I know the 3 golden rules by heart. And here, no. I mean, this goes back, 30 years ago. I postulated these to myself, and they are not really my rules. They came out of my engagement at Procter & Gamble, and Procter & Gamble for 150 years documented and followed every single activity that they had done. So they got an incredible knowledge base. But this is what it goes back to, and this is very interesting. Point number 1, we need to decide if we treat our customers as smart or stupid. We cannot treat them as both smart and stupid. Point number 2, I would always vote for treating our customers as smart. Point number 3, I would vote for treating them as smart because if I wish to acquire new customers or cross-sell to my existing customers or keep them with any kind of good offer, I must assume that they will see the benefit of that offer. Therefore, I must assume that they are smart enough to see that. And this is where point number 4, the 3 golden rules, come in. You see, if customers are smart, they will also be smart enough to figure out how to put you in a loss position if you allow them to do that. So if I set up a business model whereby I acquire customers and I set up a cut rate internet channel that really makes no money for me, and I'm actually losing money servicing customers because I'm giving them such an incredible price advantage and hoping to acquire them through this channel, then what's going to happen is my smart customers, and I have smart customers because they came to me because they saw that, you know, I'm offering them something good, will figure out that by using my internet channel, they can save so much money that it actually more than offsets everything else. And they will put me into a permanent loss position. And so that's just a channel example. And that goes for the product, and that goes for the segment. So I cannot afford to have any channel, any customer, any product be unprofitable, because my smart customers, and again remember, I assume my customers are smart because they saw the benefit of my offer, will use that, and they will put me out of business. And on top of that, now point number 5 is I need to have an understanding of my customers and my target segments. My target segment, my definition for a target segment is potential customers I'm willing to pay money for to turn into my real customers. It's a very simplistic definition, but that is it. Target segment, I'm willing to pay money for them. Now, anybody can come to me and be my customer. If I do not set up my business model so that every customer, channel, and product is profitable, I can end up with a situation that people or businesses outside my target segment will come to me, and I will not make money on them. In fact, I will lose money on them. So I will be put into the situation of, quote unquote, having to fire my customers. I would never want to do that. I do not fire my customers. I do not get rid of customers. Sorry, I don't do that. I just make sure that my pricing strategy, product strategy, etc., is such that I will always make money on you. So if I take all of this together, that then kind of goes back to the golden rules, which underpins all of this. So I think my customers are smart. I don't want to fire my customers. I want to make sure that I remain profitable. Therefore, I must have these 3 golden rules. That's kind of how it all comes together. And again, it started with 150 years of experience, documented, tested, analyzed at Procter & Gamble.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sandy, for the excellent webinar, and thank you to all of our participants. We hope you'll join us at our next webinar on the business case for financing women entrepreneurs on January 14th, and then our final segment with Sandy on February 25th, so for the third and final part of his webinars. So thanks again to everyone, and we hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season.